This is my match footage for the West End Gun Club LESA multi-gun match that was held May 21st, 2022. A quick disclaimer, please be aware that the first stage is going to take a little bit longer than usual as I have quite a bit to explain. We start off the match with a bit of banter as I get my handgun and shotgun ready. This was my first match using a shotgun, as such my performance is very weak compared to my previous matches.
Since I'm running open division, I can run my 20 rounders.
I have to run open division due to my handgun being compensated, and as such, I also have to use a shotgun on this stage. In a moment, you will see me attempt and fail ghost loading my M4 clone.
If I can do...
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Right here, I accidentally yanked my charging handle out, which was the first of my many mistakes on this stage.
We're just gonna do that.
Okay. Right here, I am about to have a false start because I didn't have a chance to properly acquire my sight picture.
Wait.
This will become obvious as I take my first shots.
Sorry about that.
I was aiming with the glare in my red dot and not the dot itself.
Oh, come on.
I already spent 5 shells engaging 2 targets and immediately started reloading. Thinking that I have my offsets figured out, I only loaded 2 shells instead of topping off completely. Here we have the next major failure. Instead of loading overhand, I should have been loading underhanded. As you can see, I missed loading 2 rounds directly into the port, and the rounds tumbled to the ground.
I would say go to the next array.
No.
I finally finish engaging these targets and move on to the next target array. Again, another instance of overhand reloads causing issues. I drop my shell backwards and immediately get flustered. Instead of doing what I do here, I should have just engaged my shell catch and loaded from the bolt being locked. From lack of practice, I break my firing grip to avoid further issues with shells not being loaded properly. Again, all this could have been avoided if I just loaded from underhand to begin with. I also lose count and only load 3 shells instead of 4, or maybe even 5 to take as a backup shot. And finally, with the last 2 shells I had, I finished the array and moved to pistol. With all the issues I had, I managed to get 1 miss at this target right here. I was already flustered from my previous stage performance. And with that abysmal performance, I landed 29th out of 34 shooters, with 23.59% of the winner's score. This stage is fairly interesting. Shooter takes a single slug shot at the paper targets in the rear, before shooting 2 rounds of buck at the steel target, and then moving to the round steel array and engaging the array with birdshot. I missed one of my slugs, and due to my lack of preparedness, I had not brought any birdshot, and had malfunctions with low brass bird, not cycling my gas-operated shotgun.
Oh, come on.
To clear my malfunction here after being fairly frustrated, and managed to get 2 more shots off before another malfunction with low brass bird. I then barrel my shotgun and move on to the pistol targets. Again, I'm flustered, so I have a few misses between the steel pistol arrays. Once again, due to my not-so-stellar performance on the stage, I land 28th out of 34 shooters, with 35.13% of the winner's score. Stage 4 is a repeat of a previous stage. The shooter only has a single shot at the rear steel. If they miss, they need to make it up later with their handgun. The shooter must then engage the pistol steel with 2 rounds each, from closest to farthest. I have a few more misses here than I would like, which causes an issue right here at the end where I lose track of ammo and need to do an emergency reload on my very last shot on the steel target. Once all the steel is engaged, the shooter barrels their handgun, picks up their rifle, reloads, engages the steel 1 more time before moving to the next shooting position. Once at the next shooting position, the shooter must take 1 shot at the leftmost target, 2 shots at the middle target, 3 shots at the rightmost target, and then redo the array 1 more time. Performance on the stage was better than my previous two. I landed 14th out of 34 shooters with 72.56% of the winner's score. Stage 5 begins with an array of 4 steel targets. The shooter must engage left to right, move, engage the same array right to left, and repeat the same for all 4 shooting positions. I overshoot my position here. I need to readjust before I can engage the array. At this point, my arm starts to get ever so slightly tired, and due to the weight of the Surefire training suppressor and all the additional weight at the front of the rifle, I start to miss some of my shots. You can hear my audible frustration.
Oh, come on.
With my final shot, I finish off the rifle portion of the stage and begin the pistol portion. You must engage the closest steel on the left-hand side before moving to the right array, and once again, engaging the closest steel in the array, the shooter must switch ports between each plate. I finish off the array and move to the spinner. Prior to doing so, I reload to make sure I go in with a full magazine. I make relatively quick work of the spinner. From what I've been told in the past, engaging the bottom portion first sets you up for a more optimal run on this sort of target.
There you go. 8-4.
When you're more familiar with your equipment, things obviously work in your favor. My efforts landed me 5th out of 34 shooters, with 78.41% of the winner's score. Our final stage was very simple. Shooter must engage all targets with handgun. I did not have optimal positioning on the stage, which reflects my score. The majority of the steel and paper targets could have been engaged from just in front of the blue barrel. That would have made the first set of steel much easier to eliminate. Right here, I have a preparation malfunction. I had loaded a partially empty magazine at the beginning of the stage, forcing me to conduct an unplanned reload. Due to my improper engagement of this stage, I scored 19th out of 34 shooters, with 55.85% of the winner's score. Overall, I scored 19th out of 34 shooters, with 59.41% of the winner's score. This match, while horribly done by yours truly, gave me data points on what I can improve in the future.